we're looking at, if you will, how do we do mass market DeFi? Like truly like a billion people.
Yeah.
So I think
Let's do let's do that together.
that was the idea. So look, as we looked at tackling, the idea of mass market DeFi, we saw like, okay, you have four major impediments, right? You've got cost, speed, compliance, and reach, right?
Yeah.
Um, so with cost, I mean, I know it might be helpful if I gave you a review of what we're doing. Our system starts with identity at the base, like a nation state, right? So we do scan in a government ID, biometrics, third-party claims, KYC if you need it, um, and that forms the basis of an account. So like an ERC20 wallet, where in this case, like your biometrics and PIN work like your private keys. So in a way, it's like an MPC structure on that level. We also are a licensed custodian, so we issue our own and redeem our own stablecoin. And we do organizational identities and wallets. And all of that goes over our own ledger. So we have an internal ledger that's ridiculously fast, right? Like 300,000, transactions a second. And that bridges out to mainnet. And we are also bridging to other chains as well. So, for example, then, if you take sort of all of that functionality and you go, oh, here's identity ledger, fiat, onboarding, custody, stablecoin, all the other services, we literally just put it all into one platform, right? So in order to get access, like we have a regulated access and governance token to actually get into this system, right? And we do on-ramps and off-ramps around the planet, right? And this is a lot of where, if you will, we're working together.
That's a killer feature.
Thank you. It only took 2.5 years to build and get licensed and all that. And so, look, just to run through, like, okay, people can go to AAVE or they can come to us, either way. And we then do this. Here's your account. And if we're doing fiat, then it's KY. We have to KYC the user. And right, this all comes with a little ID token. At that point, we convert the fiat into literally the stable coin, right? And we're doing the cash in on local rails, so ACH, SEPA, NPP, doing peso net, adding Colombia, adding a bunch of other countries. And then we literally turn into AAVE stake, right? Or actually ETH and then into AAVE stake, and then place that inside of Ever Wallet.
Yeah, and everything happened on Everchain. Everything is good on Everchain. Like, I think it's probably one of the main topic of our discussion together. But at the end of the day, if you have on and off run directly on Everchain, what you basically need is the AAVE architecture on Everchain, and you basically what we call, and that would be the killer use case of 2021 in decentralized finance, is the fiat to yield and yield to fiat
Yep.
directly on layer 2s. So on your side, it's more a side chain than a layer 2, but we get the idea. And just never use Ethereum layer 1. Why? Why bother with Ethereum layer 1?
It's a
Just
very good
bridge
question.
your assets from layer 1 to layer 2. Liquidity provider will find their way.
Right.
The most user, they will just take the on-ramps and basically buy the liquidity of the liquidity providers, get inside a blockchain that is super fast, super cheap to use, access compliant stablecoins in order to convert their fiat into a stablecoin that is completely compliant and match all the custodian and the compliant checkbox. And when they want to leave, with their interest earned. They just go out with the upfront, and they never need it to pay gas. They don't understand what
Yep.
is the concept of the transaction fee. Everything happens inside their wallet, inside their Ever ID, and that's the kind of user experience that will bring us from half a million user ecosystem, what we have right now,
Yep.
maybe 1 million if we are optimistic, to 10, 20, 100 million user in 2021, 2022.
Totally agree. And you're preaching to the choir. And so to your point, we looked at that bridge to mainnet as well, we can pull users in. We can also let them interact with ERC20 layer one services, like if they want to move things. But if you saw, we can bridge to almost anything. Like you can just take
Mm.
finance as an EVM now, right? It's, there's a whole bunch of places. And so cross chain just brings in different ecosystems.
Yeah, but
Uh,
in my opinion, the guys that will use the bridge are the liquidity providers, so highly specialized actors that their job is to bring liquidity where people is ready to pay for that liquidity, so borrowers.
yep.
And 98% of the user, they will just be liquidity provider or borrowers if they have some collaterals, but they won't bring the asset directly themselves. What they will bring is fiat, and that fiat will be used to collect what the liquidity provider deposit into Everchain. Any mature enough blockchain has to move more and more application from the settlement layer to the application layer, the payment layer, and the decentralized finance layers, and so on and so forth. And it only makes sense because if you want to be in the settlement layer, you need to be ready to pay for it because the bandwidth is not infinite and block space is valuable. And the answer is not to have incredible big blocks, because if you do that, your blockchain is not decentralized. If you want security, you need to have like reasonably sized blocks, and in order to do that, block space is valuable. So at the end of the day, there's only synergy with a settlement layer like Ethereum or the other blockchain that will be linked to Everchain and Everchain itself, because one use case has to be on Everchains, and the settlement of all those use cases and all those transactions will be on Ethereum and the other chains. And that's completely fine.
Everything's moving to, if you will, an off chain or an L2 because of settlement. And here's why it has to be like solve all these problems. To your point, the liquidity providers will simply find a way in because it'll be
Yeah.
better yield for them.
That's their job.
Yeah,
They are
exactly.
paid for that. There's money to be made for them, and that's why they will provide the liquidity to Everchain and the other layer 2 and sidechain solution. Because if there's money to be made, you can expect from the market to find motivated enough actors. And the users, they will just go to the simple, the best user experience, the cheaper to use, and something that has been tailored for them.
Say, here's one we learned. I don't know if you remember, I was a general manager at BitTorrent, right? And so we got to see the compliance, how to navigate that of you can be a protocol provider and you're fine. Like no, if you know, the Hollywood studios tried to sue us multiple times, but they, it's just not practical. So protocol guys are always safe, and really dumb client companies are also safe. But anyone that's actually doing aggregation or promotion or actually doing some infrastructure that actually connects all of that, that has to be compliant. Right? It's going to be
Yeah.
regulated in some sort. And so I'm seeing we come from, we've worked a whole lot with like central banks, regulators, et cetera. So like the compliance piece we're seeing is like for DeFi to get to 100 million users, there's going to be a compliance layer that has to happen, and it happens at the aggregation. Like that's our role, right? We do that well.
Yeah, exactly. And with AAVE, our vision is that we are a financial middleware. So we basically provide to anybody open source infrastructure to create liquidity protocols. And uh, what we do on the settlement layer of Ethereum, so layer one, is that we use and propose the services of lending and borrowing of decentralized assets in a decentralized way. But if you want to put a $20 bill inside AAVE, it just won't work. You can try to put it inside your computer, but the computer will not recognize that as a token because there's no such thing that can happen. But basically, if you want real world assets, if you want fiat on ramp and off ramp, at some point you will need some compliance because that's not a bad word. Compliance is compliant, regulation are regulation, jurisdiction are jurisdiction, and we have to be low abiding projects. And at the end, it's not even that much of an issue because for Aave to be compliance able and compliance ready, you take the exact same architecture of what we have on Ethereum layer one, and you add what we call a whitelist module. So you add the opportunities and the ability with an upgrade that you can safely and very easily and seamlessly incorporate in layer twos or specific compliance market with compliance needed assets inside any kind of layers or any kind of application. And you say, this is the same code. This is something that is been audited and has been trusted with more than $3 billion on the Ethereum layer ones. And if you want to interact with it, you need the address of your wallet to be inside the whitelist. And how do you get into the whitelist? You just talk to Everest, give them your ID, make sure that you fill all the box, that everybody is safe and your money is from a reputable source. And if everything is done, you can use Aave as you basically use it every day on Ethereum layer one. It's just going to be accessible to everybody that have regulatory needs or compliance needs and want to use assets that needs that. At the end of the day, what is important to me, and I think that's the most important thing, is that people get the choice.
Right.
Like, if they want to go inside whatever solution to acquire their decentralized asset without KYC, good for them. I hope they will respect their jurisdiction, but if their jurisdiction respect that, or if they don't get codes, good
Yeah.
for them. And they will be able to use fully permissionless decentralized protocol to do it because those markets will still exist. But
Yep.
if they want something that clear all the compliance question, it will be available as well. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you have the choice. And if you are an entity that doesn't have the choice and have to be fully compliant, well, you have this choice. So that will be your natural pathway.
Exactly. I mean, so that choice. I mean, I'm old enough now to remember, like, oh, let's everyone wanted a Swiss bank account. It's like, okay, well, great, you can do that, but eventually, like, you're gonna want to go put that money back into the world, and you have to show source of funds and where'd you get it, and et cetera, et cetera. And so the tact of like, let me just stay in crypto forever, kind of thing, and never show. You can never touch fiat again.
And people still have the choice if they don't
Yeah,
just want to stay and live with only Bitcoin and Ethereum and spend the bare minimum. I respect that,
totally.
and but it's not the same use case.
Yeah, exactly. Like social contract. Oh, what we like is like we basically just go put it into the user centricity piece. Where it's like you can choose to enter into whatever social contract you want, right? If you want to touch fiat, you got to show this much information. If you just want to buy some crypto and it's under this amount, like don't show anything. Uh, by the way, the other piece that's just a segue into reach, like we're doing some interesting things where I think we're again the synergies with Aave are just tremendous. So we're working with banks, for example, basically digitizing them and saying like, okay, we'll help you do cross border. So these guys are bringing on hundreds of thousands of users, right? And we've got a few crypto companies that are saying, okay, go ahead and do fiat to crypto, right? And we've got some that have actually hired us. And literally, Everest is the onboarding and create an account and then do some function for them. Even businesses that want us to do, payments and payroll, right? All of those hundreds of thousands, and actually look at our funnel, it's probably millions at this point, are going to be coming on, and every single one of those is going to be exposed to AAVE, right? So it's like, even if you're doing a cross-border trade from a traditional bank,
Mhm.
okay, well, here's a way to actually go put money into AAVE also. Similar, if you're receiving your paycheck, right, from a business inside of our ecosystem, we're going to literally be like, and here's AAVE. You can always, participate in that ecosystem too.
That's one of the killer use case of decentralized finance in my eyes. But instead of having negative interest rate, that's more and more true, or in the best of case 0% checking accounts with your hidden money, like DeFi allow your money, always put your money at work. Like there's never some time where your money is just there and waiting. So if you receive your salary in fiat, you can very seamlessly, with this kind of compliance solution, if you register and basically have Everest IBAN, receive your salary inside an account, convert that into DAI or USDC or any compliant
For our
stable
credit
coins
token,
that
that's exactly what we
exactly.
do. Yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say. So any compliance stable coins like credit token, and put that money at work. And when you need to use it, you convert it seamlessly with the A-cent version that maybe can be linked to a debit card or whatever.
agreed.
And you can do that on the individual level. You can do that on the entity level, like for available liquidity in the accounts, and it just works. There's always going to be some kind of risk, but we are doing, like, we are the most audited platform on DeFi as of today. We have the safety module protection fund, which is more than $250 million as of today, and it's still growing and growing. So there's always, like, zero risk doesn't exist, but I can say that
Yeah, good
we
mind.
probably one of the safest venue for liquidity providers.
Agreed. I mean, this gets, we're seeing the same thing, which is, I mean, look, we haven't integrated a lot of DeFi. You're one of three that we've done, right? Because you guys are audited, it's real, it's robust, you've tested it. And like on our side, like we've done multiple penetration tests. We're going through SOC 2 right now, most of the way done. We've been literally, you go through a compliance, like to get a license or be regulated as a regulated entity, the processes, procedures, et cetera, to be a custodian is incredible. I mean, like it's hard. These guys are deadly serious. So, and we're regulated now in two continents, Australia and Europe. Um, by the way, this is interesting. Here's one we learned. So we're Maltese, and the Maltese regulation actually is basically 99% the same as MiCA, the EU regulation.
Mhm.
And our license, the way we've architected it, we literally this is how we get the fiat on ramps everywhere. Is we don't have to get a license everywhere in the world that we go. We're literally walking into other countries going, we're going to sell our programmable stablecoin like a gift card in a way, and
Mhm.
then it can do certain things, and then we redeem it ourselves on the other side. And so from a regulator's point of view, if you're a regulator in Philippines, Colombia, Papua New Guinea, like all these places we're going, India, we look like an e-commerce or gift card company, right? And so it means
Mhm.
turning on, like, think about Ripple and Stellar and what they have to go through. Like they got to go work with licensed that. It was like
Mhm.
we walk in and just get a bank account. So our 2021, we're just lighting up fiat on ramps all over the world.